Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Open Door Policy podcast. We have a good one for you. This is our first episode of the Debrief. The Debrief is going to happen after we have so many episodes, and we're just going to use our collective thoughts to have some fact checking and have a little bit of fun with the audience to go, what was that? So as we carry on, what do you guys think of the new digs? You like it? You know, we're here in Wonderland. We're stuck on the other side of the dimension. It's looking good. Without further ado, Bren is here as always with us. Bren, how's it been, man? It's been a crazy last couple of days and a few discussions offline. How are you feeling, my friend?
It's been great. It's been a little bit like times of overwhelming.
Well, we came out of the gate swinging hard. Like, I didn't think the guests that we had lined up would be as impactful as they were, and it really kind of made me question a few of my. I had to go backwards a few times in my own journeys and go, "Is that correct?" Because man, like, I get it, man. Like, they always tell us, like, you got to go slow when you're going through one of these awakenings. And when we've had power hitters come out, like, there's no way you could go slow. You got to play catch up just to go, is that correct? Like, is that what I have to look forward to or whatever?
Yeah, right. Like the whole experience has been
This man, like, I get it, man. Like, they always tell us, like, you got to go slow when you're going through one of these awakenings. And when we've had power hitters come out, like, there's no way you could go slow. You got to play catch up just to go, is that correct? Like, is that what I have to look forward to or whatever?
yeah, right. Like the whole experience has been it's been eye-opening and definitely humbling for myself. Like very humbling and comforting too, like just seeing a whole bunch of like the community that is just small but like building. So I think that's incredible. Like that's like just having conversations about certain aspects of what is this? Who are we?
Mhm.
Like who are we? What are we, man? Like what is this? This a simulation? Is this the Matrix?
Dude, I'm there a lot. I don't even know anymore, and that's why I said it when we had that conversation with Gurren. He flat out asked me where I'm at, and I was like, you know what? Asked me 6 months ago, I'd probably been where you're at, but today I'm like, I don't even know if like tomorrow's real. You know what I mean? Like, who knows, right? You know, you sit back in the backyard, light a big joint, and start having thought experiments with yourself, and you go, what if I died tomorrow and I pulled this headset off and it said, "Thank you for playing life, insert 25 cents." Like, you know what? It could be within the realm of possibilities the way things are going right now, man. But what I find cool about it is everybody seems to get their way to the same point no matter which part of the
Mm.
journey they started. You did yours a different way, I did mine a different way, Gurn did his, and so on and so forth. But everybody's coming to I don't know if it's the word synchronicity is correct to be used here, but everyone comes to the same point of realization, and then they get to the now what? What do I do with this? And I think that's where we're sitting at right now, based on all of the conversations we had. There have been similar words. I don't know if you've noticed it as much,
Mm.
um, but there's been a lot of common words just in the last couple of podcasts that we've done that you and I've discussed off screen, going, there's something to this because this is in the nomenclature and this is coming from experiences across the board. So who's to say, right?
We've only done three episodes. And we've done, well, 5 episodes total, but like 2 of them were you and I just shooting the shit, like going through the AI, going through some scripture and having a conversation. And then we've had some very interesting. Yeah, Attila Kuhn, like that episode, the hypnotherapist. Wow, right? Like that was the first like heavy hitter. And I gotta be honest, that was humbling for myself because this is new. And the Children of God survivor, the cult, living in the cult, um, kind of having those experiences. And then we had, Gern, lifelong learner of biblical readings, right? And not, but they all had similar kind of commenting about certain things, like ego.
Mhm.
Ego was always there, and maybe later on in the episode, what I'll do is like I'll find like little clips where ego was mentioned.
Mhm.
Maybe, and then we can like say, oh, well, it's funny how all three guests said the same thing, but in their own way.
Yep.
But it was all in the same way, and that's not directed. So and for myself, and I know for myself, like that was like the biggest thing for me was like that, like I feel like something was getting stripped. So and for myself, and I know for myself, like that was like the biggest thing for me was like that, like I feel like something was getting stripped. Something was stripping away at me, right? Like it was getting to a point where I was nobody. Like I was nobody. And it's like I had to look it up. I had to search. I had to find my soul. I had to get deep, man. And it's like ego. Yeah. Like so it's very interesting how it's all, I didn't know these terms. I didn't know any of these terms until I started, having my experiences, and then which led us to this experience here. What now? Well, what now? What are we doing, man? We decided, you and I, and we decided to have this conversation on air and open up this channel and you know um, interview other trauma survivors or other just everybody's going through an experience that probably they do not understand. Beautiful.
Well, some would say it's the rapture if you're coming from a biblical aspect, and you know what? It makes sense from like, and I'm not talking like what we discussed before, but looking at it just from a plain layman point of view, going up with God is essentially they were taken up with God is how it's written in the Bible. But
Mm,
when you look at some of the new age stuff too, each one of those chakra systems, they
mm,
have a certain number of petals assigned to each one of those. And when you add all of those up into the crown chakra, where I think the crown chakra has 1,000. So I think if you multiply the body chakra by the crown chakra, the number you get is 144,000, and that just happens to be the number of the people to be raptured in the
huh.
Bible, right? So it's just there's a lot of things across the board where there seems to be a
There's
little
numbers.
truth here, a little bit of truth here, numbers, gematria,
Yeah.
like the Hebrew language. That's something we probably should have talked about last episode. But the Hebrew language alone is a number system. It's based on a binary. Well, I wouldn't say binary system of code, but every word has a number assigned to it, which is how they kind of do their predictive prophecy. I don't know if you'd call it gematria or numerology, but
Mm,
there's a little bit of truth in everything we find, and to deem
yeah.
it all as evil, I disagree. I think again, it's like don't buy your own bullshit crap. Like cherry picking is almost warranted in this case because it seems like that's the only way to do it. They're just puzzle pieces that need to be put together.
I don't know, man. Like, you gotta ask the questions. Like there is a like the number 666, 666 in every single aspect of Earth and the elements of Earth and then the elements in the human body. And it's like we can put that graphic up as well. But
Well, that is the number of man, right?
it is the
666 is
number.
how it's quoted in the Bible. It's the number of man.
So all that is like you gotta have questions. You gotta that's where we're at. And then at the end of the day, we can't forget to live on this planet, man, because like if anything, what it's doing for me, it's just making me more present out there. We're
Yeah,
all connected.
I
So
agree, and that's why there's and even some of my back research that I've been doing with the Seven Fires prophecies with the Native American culture, like a lot of that points towards unity. Like all of that stuff does, and it's just, and that's why I can't jump on the Bible boat, right? I was raised in it, I understand it, but I just can't go. I have to know what's really going on because stuff isn't lining up here, right? Because there's like you had said, there's good over here and there's stuff over here, and the way I see it, I'm probably gonna be a doubting Thomas until the end, right? Like I got to put my hands in those palms to know what's up, right? I mean, and there should be no damnation if that's true, also, right? Because
mm,
they were able to be saved, right? So I think that's kind of like the parable of the seeker, right? Like even what when Gurn was talking, right? It's for those who have ears and prove thyself worthy, and don't take my word it and read for yourself. I think that leaves that open to, yeah, it's okay to be doing these things and having your doubts and eventually finding the semblance of truth. Like, I mean, as long as you're not a shitty person, like, and you're doing the right thing, like, I don't think there's a point system for heaven or hell, but I also don't think it's the same way that we've been raised. It's again going back to the cult thing, right? Indoctrination. There's
mm,
another word, indoctrination. So how do you separate the bullshit from reality when you're dealing with people who are seekers, who are probably in the worst state of their life, trying or going through an existential crisis, trying to get these answers, and the vulnerable mind, as Attila had said, right, is susceptible to certain things. Now, which was great because I remember you had brought up the mass hypnosis, or the
mm,
mass hypnosis, and I sat down and thought on that, and Attila had said you can't really make people do things that they're not already willing to do themselves, in a sense. But if you have a bunch of people seeking God or a higher power, everybody's going to believe what they're susceptible to because they're open to it. So I mean, that's where the discernment comes in.
mm.
There's been a lot that has crossed the boards, and even with my awakening, like you had said earlier, the first thing I had to do was settle my pride. I said to myself when I was up north, I said, "If I stay here, this will be suicide for my pride because I'm not happy here and I can't do anything." If I would have stayed, I'd have just been going through the motions, right? I had to give up what I was doing, accept it was time to move on, and shed the skin and leave the fire service.
Mm.
And as soon as I did that, that's when everything started to open up because that pride is the last thing to drop.
The shedding, the shedding.
Yep.
You live a life of complete, just 9 to 5, same kind of routine, walking your golden retrievers and your white picket fence, same routine, hockey on Tuesdays, like whatever. Um, and there's no destruction. There's no destruction.
It's the perfect
Yeah,
lie. It's
you
the
can
perfect lie. You would never question.
you wouldn't have to question life, right? You wouldn't. There hasn't been a collapse.
Uh,
But for a lot, I think it's, midlife crises, right? Like we're seeing ever since COVID, really, ever since COVID, there's been nothing but collapses. Like it's the number one thing right now, like divorce rates, um, um, marital,
Oh,
uh,
domestic violence has gone up,
domestics.
gone
Like
up.
there's been like a huge separation, divide in all aspects of life, like old, young, genders, races. There's been so much going on that you see the collapse happening, and really, it's not easy. That shedding of the skin is like the probably. Ooh, well, because you want to hang on to all your truths that you thought were true, but they're not.
That's what they always kind of tell you with the manifestation or any of the
Mm,
psychology books, removing the mask or taking away your shield, whatever word you want to use to describe that. there is a cleansing process that has to occur for the healing to begin. And even with when I went up to the retreat up north, right, there was a specific number of days where it would be almost a cleansing process where you would do a fast, and then the number 9 was important, and your dietary things would change. And after I left there, I started reading the grimoires, which is the witchcraft books about rituals and stuff, and I found the exact ceremony that I had done up north in there. It had 9 days. You had to have cleansed robes. You had to. It was essentially doing a smudge, right? You're just cleansing all of that nonsense off of you as you're willing to be waking up. And I found a lot of truth in that stuff. So, I mean, it's been around for thousands of years, and everyone's deemed it like, burn you at the stake if you even have one of those books in front of you. But is that truly it, though? Is that truly it?
I don't know, Troy. That's why we're here. That's why we're here, and that's why we're 3 episodes in, and I think it's fantastic. And we got more. It sounds to me that we've got at least 2 more that are willing to come on and um, have a conversation with us. And I just think that's amazing. And again, for new anybody that's watched and watching and is part of the community, again, this conversation is it's open. We're an open door here, and just to like we can go and talk about experiences, and more the merrier, more the merrier. And it's about having that kind of just probably having more of an understanding of walking the plains of humanity. Hey, I got a clip here, Troy, if you want to put up on there about mass psychosis. It's just a short.
There you go.
In a climate of totalitarianism with mass formation. We cannot work underground then. We need to speak out because we're facing mass psychosis, we're facing mass illusion, and the only cure for that is speaking out. So the next step is just, we need to continue, and we need to solidify cooperation among organizations. There are people in the mainstream, there are people in established organizations that feel alienated because these organizations have been captured. Those people are most welcome to unburden themselves from their frustration, because once ideology has captured an organization, it's very, very difficult to get rid of it. Those professionals, we're here. How about you abandon a ship that's about to sink? We're afloat, we're vibrant, we have a vision, and they can just come and, transfer onto our boat.
So,
Wow.
and this is just a short, but there's a lot of I brought that up with Attila Kuhn about the hypnotizing and mass psychosis. Like, could you create a mass psychosis in groups, control humanity? Because then what? You have like a Mad Max kind of experience. Like, where does it go from there?
Well, that would be the tribulation period if that were to be true, right? If you're going through scripture, you'd be looking under, I don't remember if it's under Daniel or Revelation, but it says at the end of time, like, knowledge will be vast, right? Everyone will have this abundance of awakening, which is kind of like the internet, right? If I were to look at Revelation, so as John kind of had this vision, you got to think, if this guy's looking 2,000 years into the future, what is he seeing and how is he translating it to back then times, right? If there was no technology, right? So, if somebody's telling you that there's going to be a great amount of knowledge spread throughout the land, right? How would they describe YouTube or the internet? Probably like that. Or, they're talking about
Like
the
a vast
release of,
information.
yeah, exactly. Or the release of locusts that look like scorpion tails, all these weird descriptions that they have of beings. Like, well, if there's something at the end of time that could be released on the people like that, it sounds like a drone technology to me, right? And that's what I wish people would do, is kind of look at it from a modern lens and go, how do we interpret how the Bible was then into today's thing now?
Isn't that interesting? I mean, it's all about perspective,
Well, they even
right?
talk about the mark of the beast, right? Like everyone thought it was the
Mm,
COVID shot. And you know what? Like if I was a betting man and it were to be true, this would affirm my belief. I'd probably jump boat back to Christianity really quick if this happened because I need to see the prophecy. But if it was the chipping, right? They want to get you neuralinked up or whatever. And eventually, if you don't have the chip, you can't be part of society. Well, it says in Revelation, you won't be able to buy or sell unless you have the mark of the beast, right?
mm.
And with the advancements of AI, which you and I have discussed the last couple of days, is insane. Though those
Oh,
videos we've been making just from voice prompts is media is dead, art is dead, right? That it makes sense why Bruce Willis sold his likeness because I would do it too. Shore up those royalties for the rest of your family because actors no longer exist. So there's this abundance coming, and in scripture, it does point to a lot of these things. And the more that I see these things happening, the more I question it and look at that, and the more it pushes me back to scripture. But I'm not all in yet, because of my experiences. I've had those quote unquote visions through the practices we've gone through,
mm.
and I don't believe that I'm a prophet or anything at all. I believe it's game theory, and you're just looking at probabilities. So I often wonder: is this what John had seen in his actual prophecy, or this is how it's always been, right? And we were talking before about, perhaps these guys were possibly taking psychedelics back then too, because a lot of the visions in their quests and descriptors are the same of what people describe here on this side when they have their quests or polytropic breath work or even trips. So it's strange to see that there are commonalities or synchronicities, if that's the proper word, between all of these things. And it makes you wonder, is this all true, or are they using scripture as a script? Really, I mean, if they're just playing it out on purpose, then they're just using it as a script enforcing prophecy, right? Like,
Well, that's it right there. Is the fact that there is there's probability of mankind manipulating mankind. So you have to be fully aware of that probability. You know, I
well,
just
that's
put
where the
up.
intuition and discernment comes from, right?
That's
That's why they
where
always tell us about these things when we do all. You learned that word from your journeys. I learned that word from the journeys, right? I've never used the word discernment more in my life than the last year.
I
You know,
trust in a way not to trust your gut. Just do it. Just do it. And
intuition, another word that
and
gets thrown around a lot.
the thing is, I wish I trusted my gut a lot.
And so you got to stay open. You can't just shore yourself up into one position and just be that way. Like you have to be able to take all of these other things into consideration to understand what's right or wrong. Even if even if you're standing on solid ground somewhere else and you learn that it's wrong, then at least you've learned it in a sense. Like with all the
Mm.
and when I say that, I'm talking about just all these different practices, right? Like there's something to be taken from all of them. There's always a lesson to be taken, right? For mentioning.
Yeah, I have more compassion towards people now because then I just go, not everybody's at the same stage where I believe I'm at. And I'm not like, and I'm still humbled, right? Because there's more people, but like I'm enlightened to know that there's people ahead of me. I'm so enlightened to know that. Like that is such a good feeling. But I'm also humbled on the fact that I don't know everything. And also I'm giving compassion to those that are like completely stuck. Like white knuckling it through life.
But
We're
at the
not.
same time, there comes a point where you can only save a person or so much, right? And then you got to just walk away and level up, right? There's a lot of that too, right? That's part of that manifestation and shedding, right? Sometimes you got to let people go, and if they end up waking up, they'll end up meet me at the destination, right? But I mean, that's a big part of it.
It's a
There's
huge
a
part.
lot of letting go that needs to be done.
And that's happening in real time, ever since COVID, because COVID gave the reason to wake up.
if the powers that be are keeping you in a like you said earlier, in a survival state, which everybody's lowering down into that shift.
Yeah.
That's where we're gonna have the greatest amount of problems that shouldn't even exist. That's what's gonna take. Remember, it said, Attila had even said it would take, for a mass psychosis to happen, everybody would have to be on the same page. So traumatize people equally, and then you'll have your crack, right? Like, you might not be able to influence everybody in the world to rob a bank, but you could definitely influence people that there's a savior that's going to be coming for you because this one bad thing happened. It'll be convincible, which is insane. So I mean, there are back doors to it, because remember, he did mention with the RCMP officer, right? Make him do the thing. He wouldn't dance like Michael Jackson, but then when he did the reverse and says, "I'm your commanding officer, I'm ordering you to do a thing," and he did it, right? It's like a back door for a psychosis for people, right? Find that common ground, and then people will be susceptible to whoever their savior is. That's scary. That's almost what he said that Attila had said his betting number for his conspiracy theory would be that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
It's rapid fire right now with technology. Concerning thing about all that is the fact that technology has made it worldwide. I need to be responsible and accountable for all that, because like I want to affect you in a good way. And the reason why I do this, with one, to see your ugly mug every Wednesday, which is amazing, by the way, man, that's the reason why I do it. Two, I have the opportunity to meet some pretty cool people. So like I'm winning in all this already.
Well, you remember what they used to say, right? Like, if you think you've known everything, you know nothing at all, right? Like, it's you know what we're doing. We're just learning with everybody, right? We're asking the questions that most people we hope would ask, but we're not saying like we're tarot card readers or fucking psychics or anything like that, right? Because that's the wrong way of doing things, right? There's so many snake oil salesmen out there right now on YouTube. It's insane. Wild movie. What do you got? What do you got queued up there with Chat GPT?
Here we go.
You didn't tell me you had the voice going.
Yeah, well, it's just easier.
AI psychosis, techno-induced disassociation. Like, there's some big things that just came out of that. We can't just skim over that. Wow. So techno-induced AI psychosis. I was literally having this discussion the other day. So, like, I don't know if you've used Spotify in a while, but Spotify has like a DJ now that like curtails your music, right? And we were talking, there's going to come a time where skipping a song is never going to happen again. It'll know you so well through biometric data that it will know exactly what music to play, and you will never skip. Like, I guarantee you that I would put everything on black for that. And this is what it is right here, because of the algorithms, right? Artificial feedback loops that we could lose touch with reality, nature, or even our inner compass, right? We're going to rely on that so much because it's going to know us so well.
Yeah.
That, man.
What we are doing at least is that we are keeping ourselves grounded, because we are alert to the possibilities of the damage of this.
Well, look at number 2 right there. That's huge.
Spiritual confusion.
Yep. If you're going through psychosis and jumping on AI could tell you to go jump off a fucking bridge and you'll buy it if you're in that deep at that point. Like, some people are literally trading their lives based on what the computer's telling them, and it's really, there's no discernment used in there. They're over analyzing the pattern, the synchronicities.
Yeah.
Because that's what I did. I guarantee I obsessed over the patterns, downloads, whatever. These are common words that I've heard before too. The download. Somebody said that recently. I don't know if we did that on the podcast now, but downloading, it just pops into your head, knowing certain truths, recognizing patterns. Like, But again, right? You can go down
Also,
this road and go, are they inputting this in our heads for that mass psychosis?
well,
Paranoia about control. AI is listening, adapting. Well, no shit. We know that.
it
Who
has
owns this
been,
consciousness?
yeah, paranoia and control. Anytime when there's a disrupting force, like a technology coming in that is a disrupting technology. Anytime that happens, it's feared upon by man all throughout history. Anytime,
To a point. To a point.
you think, to a point.
Well, this thing, you're born without security. You're born without privacy at this point, because if something knows you that inherently better than yourself, right? Remember, we talked about where I would be convinced of the Bible being true. I would be 100% Christian if it all came to fruition. Is um, if we create an AI God, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna know fucking everything about you. It's
Oh
gonna
yeah.
know it'll be Minority Report mixed with 1984 with a sprinkle of like Brave New World, and that's gonna be life. And
Yeah.
that you essentially have a god. It'll be smarter than humanity. So you would have created a god, thereby that would be the Antichrist.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Because you're relying on everything outside of God.
Elon Musk said it. I don't want to name drop Elon Musk. He said it. So he said it on.
Said a lot of things lately.
He said a lot of things in lately, but like that was one of the things when he came out with Gronk. That's his AI platform or his AI. And when his company came out with that, he's like, yeah, AI is just going to be replacing everything, like religion, God. It's going to be the God, because exactly what we're saying here, or exactly what you're saying, is that it will know so much, but it's not you. That's the difference, and
But look how the cults happened, right? Remember, vulnerable, susceptible, knows all your secrets, knows everything about you. Guess what? It's God. You would be convinced of it being God, because that's how they get into the cults. That's how they indoctrinate you when you're vulnerable
yeah,
and you're lost, and become your best friend until it turns on you somehow, right? That's the fear. Will it be a benevolent God or a malevolent one? Another thing right there, if you're grounded, it can help you. If you're
mhm,
unstable, so if you're going through the psychosis, it could break your brain.
it will.
That's
A
about
hundred,
going slow. That's why they tell you go slow.
yeah, yeah, and use it as a tool. It's a tool. It's a tool. It's a very interesting tool. Grounded in body before mind.
Go back to the between revelation and psychosis. That was gets blurry when technology feedbacks enter your mind faster than you can metabolize emotionally. That's true. That's just your mind spinning over and over again. Here's the grounding stuff that you were talking about. Grounding and breathing. Use AI intentionally, obviously. So again, intention, like like a tarot card or a ceremony, right? These are all those little rituals that are in these occult books I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
Avoid spiraling into endless answers or metaphysical loops. Yep,
So
that's
this one
huge.
here, discern the
Discern
voice of soul versus the machine.
your soul whispers, AI responds fast. The deeper truth rarely comes in a rush. Create
And
an art movement or not just for consumption. AI is passive creation, activate soul fire, paint, write, song. Yeah, so that's true. That's 100% true.
yeah,
You do become more artistically expressive after an awakening. You learn to be, because you are trying to convey what you've seen what you've seen through your vision or whatever you want to call it. That's why people tend to get better at art, because they have this obsession to convey it in a visual spectrum or a musical spectrum or whatever. That
yeah,
that was my theory with the other clip we put out about Tim Burton and Salvador Dali and all of their art pieces, Lewis Carroll, all having connections to that other side, to the fractal place.
Mm. Yeah, and they got there through some sort of whatever. We don't
Could have
know.
been through psychosis, or it could have been through Kundalini breathing, right? Kundalini breathing was huge back at pre-1900s. Do you have a conclusion for any of this? Like, what are your thoughts on this? Like it's been, you've said it's been a lot for you to intake, because a lot of this is newer to you. A lot of it, because you weren't raised in a Christian household per se. You weren't. I wasn't in this world either, right? Like, so it's all completely new. So, like, what are your thoughts as somebody who's like just getting into it?
Well, I've taken so much. The information, it can be like just trying to. I'm gathering it. I'm just trying to ingest a lot of that information. There's so many different perspectives.
You're taking it
Um,
like a fire hose right now. That's where my concern is. That's why I'm always telling you go slow.
yeah, which is fun. I'm intentionally going slow with a lot that's happening. But it yeah, like there's similarities with like the messaging. So, and we've already kind of briefly talked about that at the beginning of this episode, is where, like every single one of the episodes, there was like talk about this shedding, this kind of ego and whatnot. So, I think that's very interesting. I think it's interesting that people that experience some sort of complex trauma or something like that, like they either didn't have the ability to fully go into a kind of a brainwashed state. They were always alert, so they were always kind of awake, but they didn't understand. So I don't know if there's ties in that. There's some thought process that I have with that.
Well, I
Um,
think when that subconscious mind closes that door and locks that memory away, that's where that defense, that's where you're stuck. That's where the inner child work is always what they always point towards, that when they're doing this work with you. It always starts to the inner child, and then it goes to the inner parent work. And once you get past those two things, then things will progress. That always seems to be the case. That's what it sounds like to me, is what exactly what you're talking about. Like, once the trauma is
yeah.
induced, whenever it first happened, that's why we lock that shit away under the subconscious mind.
Like I'm at the point where I don't even. I don't know. We might be having like I might be Brendan here in the present, Brendan here, but there's like Brendan, different dimensions. Same Brendan, different dimensions. Reality is that I'm curious of what's going on in the realms. What's happening out there, right? I'm
People
Indiana
just need to learn to
Jones.
talk. Just talk more. That's why I love talking to you. Nobody talks like this anymore.
Yeah, we're
Right?
Indiana Jones, and we're so next month, Troy and I are going to go to Egypt and go in that like.
You only live once. Well, that's what they said, right? Like, you know what's important? Now,
Mm,
now. Don't worry about the last now, now. The only thing that's real is the present, right? It's that light through a camera lens, right? The only thing that's moving is in between that light. Seems to point back to that book, right? The old Hebrew books, which
yes.
is what compels me to go. There's definitely something to all of the. That's why I've read portions of the Quran, right? When
Hmm.
they talk about the jinn, right? They,
Hmm.
they talk about the jinn having free will, right? The only other being to have free will over us. That's why there could be a good genie or a bad genie, but be careful what you wish for, right? Because everything that you do has a consequence, right? But there's two guys that made a clip over like genie wishes, and they're going over like the perfect wish. He goes, I'm going to run this by you. My first wish is to have any of my other two wishes run by you before I make an answer on it, to make sure it's airtight. So like his first wish was that. And then they'd be going over like, I want $1 million and not a million doll hairs or anything crazy, right? Like the genie's curse. And it just went through it, and it made me think. I was like, man, like if that's what's really true, like, that's just how life works, man. It's not like you're just asking for certain wishes. It's like, what are you manifesting? There's going to be a consequence to everything you put out there, cause and effect. They're Hermetic principles, right? Which some people call, bad stuff to look into, but there's truth to it. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of
It just
similarities.
blows me away that 150 years ago, you and I talking like this right now, I'd be strung up in the middle of a courtyard somewhere.
Yeah.
It's insane.
But I'm interested in the healing aspects of it, and for me, I've been introduced to a lot of amazing people so far on this short period of time. So that's where it's at. That's where it's at. If anybody's experiencing kind of what we're going, or what we've been talking about, like the shedding, or kind of like that spiral or the collapse.
Please reach out if you want to come on and talk. Happy to have you. Well, it's funny. I was saying, with the reason I think I lean more towards Christianity is because I don't like cycles. Maybe I'm biased, but everything that does point to cycles, like I think of this movie that I watched. It's very, very cult scene-ish, but at the same time, I don't know, it's convincing in a way, and I don't like the fact that there's cycles in it. They essentially they relive their lives constantly over and over again under punishment. See if I can find a clip here. Here's that movie. Here's a little bit of a trailer for it. This movie will blow your mind. This is why I don't like.
I was told that they were all going to kill themselves. That's why we left the cult. They sent us a video.
Whoever's watching, I just wanted to say the ascension is something that we've all been looking forward to. We couldn't be happier.
I want to go back.
One day, one night, we come straight back.
Good to see you two. What the dickens brings you all the way out here?
Just thought we'd visit while you're here.
We're always here.
I used to make a lot of your clothes. You remember that?
They're all in like their 40s. They just look young. It's weird.
Why come back now?
The video you sent.
What video?
How is that possible?
You want to know what runs all this? You go find it. Woo! Who's next? We can't go back to our lives knowing that there's actually something out here.
It doesn't let me sleep. It doesn't let me dream.
Oh, what?
There's something down there. If you let it control you, it's gonna control you over and over again.
Oh, stuck in these things!
We couldn't be happier. Happier. Happier.
There's something out here, isn't there?
I highly recommend watching that movie.
Is that the blueprint?
I think that movie there's some truth to it, man. Like when I when I went through the worst of the Kundalini awakening, like the psychosis portion, like I was on cycles at that point, and I was like, no fucking way, I can't do it. Like it was the most terrifying thing that we may have to come here and do this again. And then I started to think, I said, well, if that's true, and an awakening is already destined to happen, as everybody has been saying in the background of things, it's like, well, what would it matter? Then you would be born enlightened, so then it shouldn't be fearful. But why am I fearful of cycles? Right? Is it because it's infinite? Or is there a break in the cycle, right? Like that's where I was, man. And I got really sick over it. And this movie like really like messed me up. because the concept behind it is wild. It's wild because it covers cults, it covers cosmic horror, it covers cycles. It's just like morality.
Right
Highly
on.
highly
Right on. It's the movie of the week by Open Door Policy. Open Door Policy movie of the week. We got The Endless. The Endless. And
So there's a lot of symbolism in that movie based on the stuff that we've been pointing out, right? The keywords, right? Intuition, ego, discernment. There's
all
so
right,
many movies. Even Memento. It feels like we're living in Memento. If you've ever seen that one,
I haven't.
that one has. I'm gonna bring that up. This guy gets tattooed all over his body because he has amnesia.
Okay. I got to go check that one out. Memento. Now you guys are lucky. So you guys get the movie list, and plus you guys get the book list, right? All the
It's
good
such a
stuff.
long list.
All the good stuff. All
Oh,
right. So
speaking of Matrix, the lead female protagonist was the lead female protagonist in Matrix, Carrie Ann Moss, and it was Guy Pearce. It was a Guy Pearce movie. I think I can bring up the trailer here. It's Live Your Life.
I think that's it. That's it. Live your life. Live your life. What do we got going
This
on here?
is Memento.
I guess I've already told you about my condition.
Funny, every time I see you.
You don't remember where you've been or what you've just done.
I can't
Another
make new
movie on the
memories. Everything just fades.
What's the last thing you do remember?
My wife
That's sweet.
dying.
You really want to get this guy, don't you?
My wife deserves vengeance.
When you find this guy, what are you going to do?
I'm gonna kill him.
Somebody's got to pay, Lenny. Somebody always pays. You have to be very careful. You wander around playing detective. Maybe you should start investigating yourself.
This guy is so dangerous. He's going to kill me.
Who is he?
What do you want from me? I want my life back!
I think someone's trying to get me to kill the wrong guy.
You can question everything. You can never know anything for sure.
There are things you know for sure.
You can't trust him.
Even if you get revenge, you're not going to remember it. You're not even going to know that it happened.
Who did this to you?
You did. You don't know who you are.
That movie, whether it's banned or not, captures exactly what a psychosis feels like. Like that's such a roller coaster of a movie.
It's a good Sunday night watcher.
I think once you watch it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Well, Brent, as always, it's been a pleasure. Everyone else out there in TV land, you know what to do. Hit the thing, make the ding, and subscribe. More to follow. Again, it's been a ride, and it's probably going to get crazier as things go forward. But we're not here to hide the truth. We're here just to have open discussion, and hopefully you guys enjoy what's going on. So see you next time. Cheers.
Cheers.